Hi everybody, Andy here again. I've been watching the video by my friend Ken over there in California, and he's been talking about what they have in America is something, I think it's along the lines of National Volunteers Week or Voluntary Week, where you sort of obviously volunteer for no pay to go and help out on different projects in whatever sphere that you want to, whether it's sort of environmental or just educational or helping out people who are less fortunate than you are. And Ken's involved with several projects, and well done, mate, for getting involved in that. And I thought, well, yes, there's sort of things that I do, but I don't class them in anywhere near the same way that Ken does. But it sort of tied in nicely in some ways with something I was talking at an event last night, an open sort of mic night, jam night, which is very good as it happened. The first time I'd ever seen anyone play a didgeridoo. And it would happen to be in Hastings, wouldn't it? Of course. But anyway, I was talking to someone there, and who I've got to know sort of recently. And of course, you're finding out a bit about each other, type of thing. And this guy would say, well, what else do you do? And I thought, well, it sort of tied in quite nicely. Yes, what I do isn't along the same lines that Ken does in the sort of voluntary way. But there are things that I don't get paid for. So I thought I'd sort of relay some of them, just in case people don't know the sort of stuff that I'm involved. It's not a sort of case of blowing my own trumpet. It's a case of just letting some people know, like that person last night. Well, the first thing, and really in some ways where all of what consequently I will talk about, is I've had to make a list, was Hastings Rock, and I may well actually talk about that in another video, how that's all sort of led on to other things, because it's a thought that suddenly struck me the other week actually. I mean, I started helping out with them in 1995, just answering phones and that sort of thing, and then obviously I got more and more involved, and then ended up being on the committee, being the chairman of the station for getting on for 8 years, and I've been a DJ on there for about 10 years now as well, and will be again this year. And then that brings us on to sort of Beatles Day, which I've mentioned in various videos recently. I've been doing that, helping out there for about 11 years now. This is the 11th year I've done it as a compere. And occasionally I meet up with Pete and we discuss things, and I sort of give him my points of view and maybe suggest sort of new young bands, local bands, which Pete's always very keen to get on. So I've been doing that as well. And then, of course, there is, I have to keep looking down to check, there is, of course, the Peerless Music website, which isn't really, it's not a voluntary thing. I consider it more of a service and just a labour of love in some ways, which in lots of ways is what all of these things are, because they all have a common theme, and that is music. But then you probably would have guessed that anyway. And I started that up, as I've relayed earlier, with Rich, who I was talking to about the whole thing of last night actually, and we started that in October of 2012, and that's sort of gone on. Yes, things haven't worked out in quite the way that we wanted in other ways, but they certainly are in other ways, and that's some of the things that we'll be coming to a bit later on. So we've been doing that, and that's sort of moving on. The gig guy that's involved with that which we've resurrected again actually, because another local one that sort of disappeared off the scene, so we've resurrected that. That's always very welcome, and get sort of good comments about that as well. And another DJing, which I actually forgot all about, was Carnival FM, another station that comes on once a year in August. I think they're planning on coming back again this year. I was on the committee of that, and that's one of those things, another thing that I'm having to take a little bit of a back seat on. Yes, I intend to be a DJ on there if they'll have me and do the local music. We're still talking about it. I need to let them know. Actually, that's reminded me, hasn't it? And then what we got next? I got the Fat Tuesday thing. I mean, I've only really been helping out with that this year. Very limited really this year as well, just helping out Adam and Bob a little bit. But that's partly because it's all tied up with everything else that's going on, and a lot of the stuff that is going to be happening in the future, as I mentioned in one of the other videos that I've done recently about getting involved with them and maybe helping to head up their sort of charity, but whatever it might be in the future. And that all leads on to the Stinger magazine, which is something, especially over the last week or so, which takes up quite a lot of time, because I'm, let's say, we just literally put into bed the second issue, finished up all the copy stuff, and Adam and Christina and Jason are sorting out all the advertising, the final touches to that at this moment, and hopefully going to print tomorrow. I believe it is. What day are we? Yes, I think it's tomorrow. And so that's been coming out, that's doing that and working on that, and it takes days and, you know, a lot of sorting out. It's a learning curve, and we're learning things all the time about how the best thing to go about, but it takes a lot of time. And once again, it's all pleasurable. I wouldn't be doing these things if it wasn't, and it's, you know, all great experience, and it's all a learning thing. And then what we've got here, we've got all the other bits and pieces. I've written down other bits and pieces. I mean, I have helped out local bands. I mean, the Kid Capici band have just changed their name to Kid Capici, by the way. They dropped the. The band I was sort of a bit more involved with, but once again I've had to take a back seat with. But I've been helping them out for a year or so now, just generally helping out, going to gigs and doing bits and pieces, and maybe giving little bits of advice or the benefit of my experience or something like that. I've just given them some ideas, and just generally being there, I think, is one thing which, you know, all those sort of bands need. And I've done it with others, and as I said to them and I said to others, anybody, if there's anything I can do, you know, I will try and do my best to sort of, you know, help you out and get you sort of further than where you are at the moment, if it's within my power, of course, you know, limited power. And as I said, lots of other different bits and pieces, but the common thread being music, and the common thread being that I don't get paid for any of them. But you never know, there's always this sort of thing in the background. It's not, as I said, it's not a master plan, it's not necessarily a conscious decision, but you do think sometimes, because I do get little bits of money from certain things. I did some comparing at the Hastings Musical Festival, and they had a rock band evening the other week, and I do get paid for that because maybe they can afford to do it or whatever. But you never know what's around the corner. But as I said, I do these things because I enjoy them. But there does come a point, and I must be quite happy to admit it, when you think I can't really do much more of this, which hence the fact that I've sort of stepped back from a couple of those sort of projects. So there you go, for anyone who was interested. I've probably forgotten something. There's probably other things that I help other people out with, or, you know, we meet up and have a beer and a chat and a chinwag and sort of bang our heads together and sort of throw ideas around for things. As I said, I'm always happy to help people out if I can, in any particular way whatsoever, as long as it's music related and sort of tied around Hastings to help promote the town and the music and the talent and everything that's within it. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I think that's enough, Ken, don't you? So anyone else who's got something like this, let Ken know, because it's all good, you know. We need people like Ken around to do all that sort of stuff all over the world, whether it be here or whether it be over there in California as well. I'll leave it there. Thanks very much. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.